What's up, people? This is the People's Podcast presented by the Wrestling Republic. I am Young Meechy, aka Scooney Mac, aka Young Twiggy, aka the Bay Area YouTuber slash wrestler. And my co-host is...
It's the beast sleeping in the east, the one, the only John Wiley.
do us all a favor and never do that again. Just do us.
No, cutting promos like the Rock in here, man. Don't matter.
It don't matter. But today, man, on the People's Podcast, we got a star-studded lineup. We got starting off with Defend This Wrestler. And just to give you guys a background, Defend This Wrestler is when John brings up somebody that he believes is trash or somebody he believes is on their way to be trash. And I'm supposed to defend them. You know, he states why he believes they trash or why they just not a good wrestler or whatever the case may be. And then I'm supposed to defend them. This week, I feel like this probably gonna be the most disrespectful Defend This Wrestler. I'm not gonna lie. But before we even get straight into that, we're gonna talk a little bit about Jon Moxley, Daniel Bryan. We're gonna talk about Roman versus Jake Paul at Crown Jewel, and we're gonna have a good debate between Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. Who do we believe had the better career? But let us go into Defend This Wrestler with John. So I'm gonna just go ahead and pass the mic. Remember that I said that I do believe this is the most disrespectful Defend This Wrestler. But go ahead, John. Tell us who is on the Defend This Wrestler segment this week.
So tell me. Do you think Chris Jericho is the GOAT? Because I don't think so. Because I feel that this is the most overrated, oversaturated, overplayed, overhyped, clown tier wrestler I've ever seen. Because I'm going to keep it a buck. Chris Jericho fans be propping him up as if he's the greatest one that's ever come. I'm going to keep it a buck. There's never been a moment inside that ring where he's been the best anywhere. It's a damn shame, but that's the truth. Let's start back in the 90s when he was working at WCW. You were like, Jericho, who? And then let's fast forward. We're in the early 2000s. Guess what? He can't hold a candle when it comes to Stone Cold and The Rock. When it came to mic work, it was a damn shame. But all right, let's fast forward. When you had a clear lane, how is it that your best work came with you getting a reverse Uno card situation in your goddamn storyline with Shawn Michaels? It's crazy, man. But you know what? It's cool because I'm going to keep it a buck with you. If you think the list was funny, I think you got issues. If you think, the highlight reel was cool, I'm going to keep it real with you, man. That was never good. It was all set up for somebody to get beat up, man. It was too easy to predict, man. I'm going to keep it a buck, man. He's been doing his thing in music. I don't listen to it. I'm pretty sure it'll never come on the radio. But hey, man, he did that. Then he goes to AEW. All right. We're sick of the Vince McMahon system. Let's try it when we have freedom. We're having 0-star matches with Eddie Kingston. And then on top of that, we're looking stupid every week. Almost losing the guys like, I think, Marco Stunt. Come on, man. Is this the guy that's supposed to be the best? Nah, man. Nah, I think what happened was he just got a character in wrestling that just, hit all the check marks and all right and okay so many times that people just thought he was the great. But to defend this man, tell me, dude. Tell me.
Oh, man. People, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this one. Chris Jericho. I can't believe... Chris Jericho, if you happen to be watching this or listening to this right now, Just know that I don't feel this way. Chris Jericho. I look at Chris Jericho as one of the greatest of all time. And I can break it down. When we break it down to promos, Chris Jericho, you brought up the list. I'm going to give you a list of different things that Chris Jericho is great at. From promos, this man has legendary matches. We got to think about times. You got to think about the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho rivalry. the time
yeah.
that they was able to face off at WrestleMania, and then even the time towards later of Chris Jericho's career when they got into a rivalry again, when Chris Jericho was wearing the suits. I think about the matches they put on during that time period. I believe they had a match at No Mercy in a ladder match or something like that. One of the best matches of Chris Jericho's career and a great match overall. Chris Jericho has been able to reinvent himself over the years. Think about this man has been he's been wrestling, a part of the entertainment business for years, and he's been able to reinvent himself and still find himself in the top position pretty much, whether that's in the WWE or now even in AEW. Going into him about to face what's his name, man? I can't even remember the Ring of Honor champion right now. He doesn't go by Cesaro, but I'm gonna call him Cesaro. But like, just even up until this point in time, Chris Jericho, every company he's been a part of, every wrestling company he's been a part of, he has found a way to make himself relevant. Whether that's cutting promos, whether that's having great rivalries, whether that's having great matches. Chris Jericho is a bona fide Hall of Famer. I can't believe that Chris Jericho's even a part of this conversation right now. This is
the reasoning why I put him in this conversation right now. It's because I feel like he's overhyped. I don't feel like he's even properly rated properly to even be considered to go, since he's never been the best anywhere in his wrestling career. He's never been the best in one thing because there's always somebody overshadowing him. In fact, I'll keep it right now. This is like the perfect opportunity for Chris Jericho to remind everybody that he's that guy, because at the current moment, a lot of the people that people want to come see AEW for are suspended or injured. And all the competition he has left is between Jon Moxley, Daniel Bryan, and whoever else AEW wants to push. And so far, as with the clear lane he's gotten, is kind of looking sorry. And on top of that, man, like, it's like this. Chris Jericho, to me, is like, he's only good when he has a good dance partner, like how you brought up Shawn Michaels. Because when he has like a great dance partner to bounce off of, he's amazing. But on top of that, that dance partner is also carrying most of the load. It's like a 60-40 situation. And I'll be honest with you, I ain't never had a Chris Jericho promo where I look up and think, man, that was great. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna go rewatch that. Nah, it's never happened, dog. It's never happened.
I gotta say this, Chris Jericho. One of the things that make Chris Jericho so great to me is that he is the guy that can become one of your top-notch heels that you ultimately hate, but he's also the same guy that can become a top-notch babyface that everybody cheers.
Stop the cap.
Like, come on now, like. You just made the list. Like, come on, you telling me that was not comedy?
The way I look at Jericho when he's a babyface is like, bro, he can't keep up being the guy that everybody can look to be the face. So he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna be the villain. It's easier that way, and I can keep people's attention that way.
You just made the list. Come on now.
Yeah, to me, that's sorry, man. Come on, man. But it is what it is. It just shows he's one-dimensional to me. But hey, you can do well in a one-dimensional role.
Chris Jericho, put him on the list. This man, the name is John. Put him on the list right now. I'm trying to tell you. He trying to disrespect you. And then we got to talk about Chris Jericho, even outside of the WWE. This man also does podcasting at, he has one of the best wrestling podcasts to me. Like this man does everything. Like, we got to give this dude some props. And then I forgot to even bring up his rivalry with Triple H at times. Like, this dude, like, from being and then the stuff that he's been able to contribute to the business. Like, I'm pretty sure he's the one that came up with the Money in the Bank idea. Like, come on now. His intercontinental title reigns to. He's able to also be in the heavyweight championship conversation as well. It's Chris Jericho. I'm like, what else can I say?
Hey man, I hope you don't ever bring up the Triple H storyline where he was the undisputed champion
The
because he got
undisputed.
dogged when he came back, quite literally. Oh man, oh man. If anything, that storyline was more about Triple H coming through, just to steamroll Jericho off them belts.
Mm.
Yeah. But
Hey,
all right, what about the fans decide, man? Hopefully somebody feels similar like I do, because like I said, man, I feel like he's overrated. You don't
yo,
even,
the
yeah.
I say for the people, man. Let us know in the comment section what y'all think, man. Let y'all think. Do you Triple H? I mean, not Triple H. Does Chris Jericho deserve to be on this segment? Defend this wrestler. To me, Chris Jericho. This is the most opposite I've felt when it comes to any wrestler on Defend This Wrestler segment throughout this time of us doing this. Chris Jericho is a bona fide Hall of Famer to me, and one of the greatest of all time. I don't know if he's in maybe top 50. I put him in a top 50 list to me, or maybe just outside of top 50. He's somewhere
Well,
in
the
there.
way I feel about it is like this: would you put Roman Reigns over him?
That's a good question. Right now, no. I would not put Roman Reigns over Chris Jericho right now. No. Roman Reigns got more. I mean, even though Roman Reigns is the guy right now, I don't know. I feel like he has a little bit more to do. I can't put him over Chris Jericho. I feel like Chris Jericho, I literally look at Chris Jericho as one of the greatest of all time. That's why I said, like, I can't put Roman Reigns over him just yet. Even though Roman has a lot of great things on his catalog, at times, I was with the fans. I felt like certain things he shouldn't have had put on his catalog, like him beating the Undertaker at WrestleMania and giving Undertaker his second loss. I don't think that should have happened. I don't agree with some of those stuff. Like
You know,
I feel
yeah,
like the WWE was over pushing Roman at times, but
you know,
now I feel like
yeah,
he's one of the greats. Like he deserves to get pushed, but
yeah.
yeah.
You know what's crazy about that WrestleMania match? I always said instead of Roman being the guy to go beat, what's it called? Undertaker. It should have been a match between John Cena and Roman Reigns. While it should have been Chris Jericho and Undertaker for that year's WrestleMania. I think that would have actually made a good match because Jericho and Taker has never had a WrestleMania match, and I feel like they could come up with a great match. But I think that that ship has sailed.
Oh yeah. No, it's done now. I mean, Undertaker's retired. I don't even know if Undertaker's gonna come back. Undertaker's my favorite wrestler, people. I gotta let y'all know that Undertaker's my favorite. So anytime Undertaker chooses to want to come back, I do not mind. I do not mind. I would love to see Undertaker give me one more WrestleMania match. One more. But it has to be against someone that makes sense to end his career off.
You know what we got to do for one good reaction video?
What?
We got to have Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, their match they had in Japan back in, I want to say 2019, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We got to check that out.
Oh, another thing is too, though, this is going to kind of go slightly off topic, but I was just thinking, who should Edge last WrestleMania match be against?
That's a rough one because, like, you know, he's probably going to want to put somebody over. So it'd be like, who do you think could use that win right now?
You know,
because if Vince McMahon was in charge, he let Dominic Mysterio take that W.
I would never forgive Vince McMahon for allowing Kurt Angle to go out against Baron Corbin. I would never forgive Vince McMahon for that.
Man, I'm still hurt about Kofi Kingston losing on a regular episode of SmackDown to Brock Lesnar. Man, that was tragic.
That one to me, yeah, I don't know. I look at the way the Baron Corbin, Kurt Angle WrestleMania. I'm like, and Kurt losing. Oh man, that's one of the worst. I'm sorry, Vince. I got respect for you and all that, but I can't believe you did that to Kurt. I can't believe it. Man, I don't even know what's going on with Baron Corbin right now.
That's a good question. I kind of forgot after the Pat McAfee stuff happened. Oh man,
Happy Corbin, like Baron Corbin maybe needs a manager. I seen recently on Twitter, I think JBL said like Baron Corbin needs a manager or something like that.
Sure. You know what he does? You know what he needs? That pink slip, man. Trying to get him out of here, bro.
That's rough.
I'm kidding. I do think though if we could put Baron Corbin somewhere else where he can be a top guy, maybe NXT UK or something like that. Or I think you'd have a better chance because right now I feel like it's kind of overcrowded per se, and guys who's going to be at the top. Baron Corbin's kind of filmed like the Miz back in like 2009, 2010, where you know this guy's not going for the gold. You know he's not.
Yeah, because I don't think Baron Corbin's a bad wrestler or he's bad on the mic. I think he's not bad.
Oh no,
he's actually pretty good. Like, but it's just I don't like his characters they've been giving him, like Happy Corbin. All these different characters. I just don't. It doesn't just fit to me. It doesn't fit, and then it doesn't stand out to make him like stand out at all. So I'm like, but he's actually pretty good. But I'm just like, I can't deal with none of these characters.
In the ring,
they're not gonna catch on.
So yeah, I agree with you on that. Like I said, I feel like if he gets a character change and gets sent somewhere else, I feel like he will truly shine and will be able to understand truly how good he is. But we just gotta keep watching Raw and hope for the best.
Yeah, and let us know.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's he on SmackDown now? Oh my God, it's been a minute.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea. But I was gonna say this for the people. Let us know who do you think, if you think Chris Jericho's more so a Hall of Famer or that he should be on Defend This Wrestler. I already know most of the people gonna agree with me on this one. I think Chris Jericho's a bona fide Hall of Famer. He should not been on Defend This Wrestler. I highly doubt we're gonna get too many people that's gonna agree with you on this one, John. I don't think so.
All right, man. I don't care. I know what I said. I'm stick to it. I'm gonna take this one to the grave.
But let us move on to the next topic. We're gonna talk a little bit about AEW since we brought up Chris Jericho. Let us talk about Jon Moxley versus Daniel Bryan, which I believe is happening this upcoming week, and who's gonna decide who's gonna be the new AEW World Champion.
Interesting. Did you see any of the tournament matches that led up to this?
I haven't really watched none of the matches fully, but then I know a little bit of, each one of them or something,
Gotcha. I recommend you check out, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be Jon Moxley versus Sammy Guevara.
Okay.
Not a good. I'd say it was a good promo going into the match and a very all right match. The way they had things wrapped up, and then I feel like when it comes to Daniel Bryan, you're always going to get some very good technical wrestling, and I just feel that the way that AEW kind of treats him at times, it's not as big as a deal as he could be. Because I remember he had a match with Hangman Page, and he was the mid card. I was like, what the hell? And I feel like a little bit more respect should be given towards Daniel Bryan. But it is what it is, though. That's AEW. But I would have liked to ask you this. Who do you think is best for business in being the AEW champion? Jon Moxley or Daniel Bryan?
I think it's Daniel Bryan.
What?
I think it's Daniel Bryan, honestly. Jon Moxley, to me, he's already been AEW champion for a while now. Like I was watching that Tony Khan interview with CM Punk, and I believe when CM Punk recently beat Jon Moxley, like that was his first real clean defeat. And I'm like, dang, like they've been putting some respect on Jon Moxley's name. Like he hasn't really even lost a match really in AEW since he's been there. So we've seen what Jon Moxley already has done, and he's done some great things. But I feel like Daniel Bryan, he has what I feel like AEW should showcase, like the story of Daniel Bryan having to basically he had to retire. And then everybody loves Daniel Bryan. Like everybody believes he's a great wrestler, one of the best wrestlers in the world right now in this very day. And then he's able to cut promos. I would like to see what Daniel Bryan will be able to do as AEW World Champion. And then I feel like he could put on some more great matches, great rivalries. We already seen what Jon Moxley did. That's more of my argument. It's like, now let's see what Daniel Bryan would do if you give him those reins. And I feel like they're going to give him those reins.
Yeah. I feel the only thing about Daniel Bryan being champion is that he is somewhat injury prone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever seen it, but a couple months back, he ended up falling through the stage, the ring ramp. He ended up falling right through it. Damn. And hurting himself. He ended up being out of action, which is why another reason why Forbidden Door didn't hit as hard as it could have, because of just injuries all across the board, from Adam Cole to CM Punk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think personally, Jon Moxley would be best because, one, he doesn't get injured. Two, I think that he is very reliable. He's safe in the ring, and on top of that, he's a very interesting character too. And I think he'd be I think he'd be the best bet. You know what I'm saying?
At some point in time, we got to start talking about how great the Shield was. Because to think about these three solo wrestlers, Seth Rollins, to me, you can make an argument for each. You can make an argument for all three of them being the best wrestlers in the world right now. Because Jon Moxley is at the top of AEW. Roman Reigns is obviously at the top of the wrestling world right now. And then Seth Rollins, he could be at the top easily too, and maybe the best wrestler in the world. We got to start making an argument about the Shield being probably one of the greatest factions of all time, if not the greatest. What's your thoughts on that?
The Shield being one of the greatest factions of all time. I say they were pretty good, but then it's like I'd be thinking about Shield compared to the Bullet Club, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where the Bullet Club literally took over an entire company. The Shield ain't never did that.
What about the Shield versus the Bloodline? Ooh.
So wait. Like, we're talking, even then, still have a much better category. You know, a much better. You have a much better catalog because Roman is like Superman carrying. Plus, the Usos have been able to hold on to the belts for that long as well. If anything, it'd still be like the Bloodline would be. What's it called? The Bloodline would be better, and on top of that, the Shield would still be, you know, not as good. And the reasoning why the Shield didn't do as well is because they didn't stick around that long, because they got to get broken up so quickly. And then every guy, when they became a solo career, was much better by themselves than they were in a group. Mm. So yeah,
man, that's an interesting one for me. Because around the time when the Shield was first coming onto the scene, I wasn't really a huge wrestling fan at that time. And then I started to really catch on, and I started seeing the greatness in the Shield and seeing why people loved them. And then now, obviously, up to this point, seeing how great they've been solo and then great together, it's like they're definitely one of the best factions, especially seeing how far they've been able to go, even with their solo careers. But the Bloodline, man, is sick. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I gotta give WWE their props. This is probably one of the best things they've done in the last, like, decade with the Bloodline. They're taking all the belts. Roman is at the top. When they put Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, that's probably one of the best decisions they made. It took Roman Reigns to a whole nother level, and I feel like we all, as fans, got a lot more respect for Roman now. At one point in time, I felt like the WWE was overly pushing Roman. But now I look at it and I'm like, as soon as they turned him heel, put him with Paul Heyman, and now we got the Bloodline, I'm like, they made the right decision with this. Like, I don't mind seeing Roman stay champion until there's someone that's right to beat him.
I think what's was like really rough about that long wait with Roman was that Vince was really trying to push Roman as if he's the new John Cena. And he tried for so long. And even on the Jericho podcast and around the wrestling world, we all knew that Roman should have turned heel way before 2018, man. And it should have been at that when he won the Royal Rumble in the night and everybody booed him in The Rock. It should have been the night where he was on Monday Night Raw and he got booed for 10 minutes straight.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been then, but
it's so crazy. There was so much times where they could have turned him heel. Like the fans was already booing him, and they just kept trying to fight against it, or Vince kept trying to fight against it.
Fight against Destiny, but hey, man, he really wanted another John Cena, and it's crazy. I don't understand why they didn't just push Seth to be that babyface guy that everybody could rally around. Seth isn't a big, huge dude. He's kind of built averagely if you see him in public, and then on top of that, he's super athletic, and on top of that, he can cut good promos. So it's like kind of weird. It's like we lived in like a reverse world, man. We would have got exactly what we wanted, but it took the WWE 10 years too late, and I think that's just an issue of Vince McMahon because he's just not catching up with the times. But hey, we got Triple H in charge, so we'll see what happens.
Triple H is in charge, and then since we're already speaking about Roman, wait, before we move on to this topic about Roman fully, who do you think AEW is going to crown as AEW World Champion between Daniel Bryan and Jon Moxley?
I have a feeling it's going to be Daniel Bryan. I mean, just because of the fact it's been an ongoing trend when ex-WWE guys is your champion, they get more ratings. And I feel like Daniel Bryan will be the guy because he's going to be the big babyface, safe, very good wrestler, safe programming. On top of that, he'll give everybody what they want. I say the more interesting path they should take is make Jon Moxley champion. But because if I'm not mistaken, Jon Moxley's not supposed to be back yet. He wasn't supposed to come back to wrestling so early. Or wrestling in AEW certainly. So we'll have to see. But my bet is Daniel Bryan's going to be champion.
My bet is Daniel Bryan is going to be champion as well, and I'm not opposed to it. I want to see what they're going to do with Daniel Bryan being champion and see how far he can take it with him being, the face of the company. But let us move on. PWI did their 500 list, and then they ranked Roman Reigns as number one. Since we were just speaking about Roman Reigns, do you feel like that was the right decision that Roman Reigns should be number one as the best wrestler in the world?
Well, I'd say it like this. Roman is definitely in the conversation for top 5. Number one. That's kind of a rough one because I don't get to watch enough New Japan World Wrestling because it's very hard to go find it to watch it on TV in America. So you have to go through all these hoops to go watch it. I can definitely see him as a safe pick. But then let's talk about that list. That list had Big E on that list, and I think it was number 7. So I feel like that list is kind of fraudulent, especially since Big E hasn't wrestled for about 6 months now?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah. So that list is kind of fraudulent, man. I'm keeping a buck with you. So, and then on top of that, Kenny Omega was on that list too, and he's been out injured for almost even a longer time. So you got to take that list with a grain of salt. Do I have an issue with him being number one? No, because he's in that list of people that should be number one or top 3 or top 5. So it's not a bad choice, but you look at the rest of the people on that list, it's kind of crazy, man.
CM Punk is number 3 on that list. Adam Page is number 4, and Bobby Lashley is number 5. And Cody
What about
Rhodes.
the Rain? What about the Rainmaker? It's a Japanese wrestler. Do you see a Japanese name on that list?
Number 2 is I don't know how to say his first name, but his last name was Okada.
Yeah. Okada,
yeah.
Okada's the Japanese champion in at New Japan. And I've never heard a bad thing about Okada. And on top of that, I've seen a couple of his matches against in the tournaments that they have every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get caught up to see if it's better or if not it stands over Roman, what Roman's done. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the list is still fraudulent. It's still fraudulent.
I'm gonna agree that Roman should be number one. The fact that what he's been able to do, been champion for almost 2 years now, and it's been deserving. It's not like he's been over pushed in this case. The bloodline with the Usos, everybody should know how I feel about the Usos. The Usos is my favorite tag team of all time. All time. I think they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And then you got and then you got Paul Heyman. Obviously, come on now. Paul Heyman is just like the man.
As far as talkers, he's one of the very best in the business. In fact, Paul Heyman doesn't even need to do wrestling. He can go outside of wrestling and just talk. Imagine if Paul Heyman had a podcast.
Exactly. Like I would listen to that all day. Like Paul Heyman is one of the greatest. He's a wrestling savant. So I'm like having him paired up with Roman, and then they're all family though. Like think about that. That's a family of that's a wrestling dynasty, and then now it's being showcased on TV. So and Roman is at the top of that. So man, I got to give him props. And then next, we probably about to get one of the greatest main events of all time with Roman versus The Rock. So it's deserving. Roman should be the top dog right now. And I got to give him his props. He went from the guy that people thought he was being overly pushed into the guy that now he's deserving of it. But before we move on, let us take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to discuss Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, better career. But let us take a quick break.
So, hey, you, the wrestling fans I'm talking to. Yeah, you. Hey, I'm curious. What are y'all into, man? Do y'all like sports? Do you like, I don't know. Do you like video games? Tell me. Are you guys interested in what's coming for the future? And I mean the future of sports video games. Because I feel at the bottom line is that we're coming to a new age of good games. Because that 2K23 NBA, ooh, it's looking good. Real good. We finally hit that fine realm of clunky and realistic gameplay. And I can't wait to see what might happen. Let me know, what's your favorite sports games? Hey, it can be WWE. It might be that trash AEW game coming soon. Let me know how you feel about it. And hey, man, if you see me online, Roman playing 2K22 online, hit me up. Try to challenge me. I know y'all ain't gonna win. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, drop your favorite games and comments and down below. Let me know.
And we're back from the break. And before leaving the break, we were talking a little bit about Roman Reigns as being the number one wrestler on the PWI 500 list of wrestlers. But let us move on to actually talk about Roman a little bit. Roman at Crown Jewel, WWE just announced Roman Reigns will face Jake Paul. What's your thoughts on that one?
It's gonna be a squash match. Jake Paul's gonna get jobbed out, and then on top of that, this is what I like to call filler. If you watch anime, if you watch TV, we got these episodes where it's there to kill time, and obviously that's what this is. I'm probably not even gonna watch it. I'm gonna see what Damage Control is gonna be about. But I know this. It might be very entertaining. What do you think about Meech?
This one is a little different from me. Like I just got done watching Roman on Jake Paul's podcast, and that was just an interesting podcast. Like some of the hosts on there just seemed like they weren't ready for that podcast, like ready for that interview. But it was interesting. It was just an interesting podcast overall. Didn't expect this was going to be the turn of events, that Roman would be facing Jake Paul this soon. But it seems like this is a Crown Jewel type main event. Like if what we've been seeing over the years with Crown Jewel, like when the legends come back and all this type of stuff, the Hall of Famers come back to have these dream matches. This seems like it's kind of up the alley in a sense where, Roman versus Jake Paul is going to draw a lot of a different type of audience for the WWE, more of an audience from YouTube. It's going to kind of gain. It's going to, it's going to be like a mainstream audience that's going to want to tune into this because Jake Paul is that type of name. And that's why I feel like the WWE's doing it. I feel like it's going to be, in terms of the match itself, it may be interesting. It may be like just a little fun match to see. I'm not super like invested into it because I'm not really invested into Jake Paul as a wrestler right now. Even though he's not a bad wrestler, he's actually pretty good. But I'm like,
what's hilarious, the internet's been disrespecting Dominic by saying Jake Paul's a better wrestler than him, and he's only been here for like 5 days. Oh man.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Dominic's a better wrestler. I'm more invested into the character of Dominic Mysterio too. I'm not really invested into Jake Paul as a character, and that's a huge part. And even in his interview though, he seems like he has a lot of respect for the wrestling business and for that in itself, like talking in front of the crowd, cutting promos, all those type of things. And he seemed like he got a lot of respect for the business, but his character doesn't seem like he has a character. He's just himself. And I don't know. I'm not really going to be invested into this match, but I will watch it. I'm more invested in seeing maybe like what else is going to take place at Crown Jewel. Like, is Goldberg going to return, your favorite wrestler? And seeing like who else is about to return for Crown Jewel? If we're getting Roman versus freaking Jake Paul already, what else is about to happen at this Crown Jewel?
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Undertaker return just to choke slam Baron Corbin?
When did that take place? I did not.
I believe that happened on Raw, if I'm not mistaken.
Nah, I didn't see that. If that happened, dang, I missed that one. Nah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. That's the case. Hey man, you might get a surprise Undertaker match, man.
I don't know about that one. I just don't know. Like, dang, if that really happened, Undertaker made an appearance at Raw and I didn't even see that. Like, what the heck? Something is off. But I do got to say this though. I don't want to see Undertaker wrestle at Crown Jewel. I'd rather see Undertaker give me like a one more WrestleMania match. Like, the Boneyard match was dope, but I want to see an in-ring into the Undertaker's career. And the Boneyard match was dope for its time, but I don't want to see Undertaker wrestle at Crown Jewel. I'd rather see him wrestle at WrestleMania in a storyline that's built up, that makes more sense than just kind of throwing them out there into a match.
Oh yeah. No, I'm tripping. I got the weeks mixed up. My bad. Undertaker did not return. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't mean to spread false news. My bad. I got the weeks way messed up. But that's how you know I'm watching too much wrestling. That's when getting dates mixed up. Oh man.
Everybody, Undertaker did not make a return just yet. He did not make a return, but
my apologies.
Do we want to see him return? That's the question. Do we want to see him return anyway?
I would like to see him in return, but I kind of want to see him return to the ring with somebody that's going to make him look good, similar to how Kevin Owens did with Stone Cold Steve Austin, where we saw Owens literally do all the work. Oh man. We saw Owens carry that match. He backpacked it like LeBron back in 2016. Backpacking.
Yeah. But in terms of the Roman and Jake Paul, like, I just, I did not expect to see this. I'm not gonna lie. They WWE surprised me with this one. They threw me for a loophole with this one, but I see what they're doing. They're capturing a different audience for sure.
Well, I think this is a testament to Triple H booking, because so far, Triple H booking has been very surprising and unexpected. Mm-hmm. Surprise returns. Unpredictable endings to matches. Like wrestling, you'll never know what happens.
I don't think it's gonna be a squash match though. I think they're still trying to build up Jake Paul, so I think it's gonna be like. The interesting part about this is that Roman's a heel and Jake Paul is technically looked at as a heel. So it's two heels facing each other. So it's like it's gonna be a lot of boos going on in this match. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's the only difference I'm looking at. Like, because usually right now Roman's been facing these baby faces that's been having to try to take on the entire bloodline to try to beat Roman.
Yeah.
Nobody's rooting for Jake Paul in this match. So it's kind of like, that's the interesting part. It's like,
I've always said, like, the way Roman's going to be stopped is going to be literally like a conglomerate, a group effort of constituencies showing up to stop the bloodline.
mm-hmm.
Or it's going to be like a situation where Roman's just like, hey, man, you out the bloodline situation.
Man, that's the interesting part. That's what makes it so interesting with Roman versus The Rock, because the Usos, the bloodline itself, they have some type of like, even though they got obviously the buy-in is fully with Roman, but when The Rock pulls up on the scene, it's like we gotta kind of defend The Rock too, though, or do we just step out of it and just let them handle this? Like, that's what makes it interesting, and they can go so many different ways, storylines with that.
Idealistically, what if The Rock loses and he's actually there every week with the bloodline?
That'd be crazy. What if The Rock turned heel and joined the bloodline? That would be crazy.
Yeah, we get 6 to 12 weeks of more Rock in the bloodline.
I don't even know what other belt The Rock could capture to add to the bloodline, though.
The Rock just going down to NXT and collecting belts.
Like, what would he even do? Like, get the Intercontinental title? Get the, like, man, I don't even know. Like, that would just be a crazy thing to see, though. But let us move on. This is an interesting one right here. We haven't done a better career debate in a little while now, but this is an interesting one. Two Latino legends. And this is one I want to see in the comment section what the people think as well, because I have no idea what John is about to say. I know what I'm going to say. But who do you think, John, had the better career? Eddie Guerrero, the great Eddie Guerrero, or Rey Mysterio?
That's a really hard one, man. Because Eddie Guerrero with Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, and we go back even further with his matches in WCW, going up against the likes of Dean Malenko. Then we go back even further when he was in Japan, where he was, I think he was the Black Tiger mask out there too, and he had great matches. That's a really tough one, because then you go to Rey, who's had great matches with Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, Edge, with Eddie, and then on top of that, he's also had good matches with JBL. And then, I wish I got to watch his Lucha Underground matches, because he had I think he had a match in Lucha Underground. He also had a couple matches in AAA wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is a tough one, man. That is a tough one, because with Rey, I don't know if you ever watched this. We should probably put this on another one of the reaction videos we should watch. Is when he was in ECW for a hot minute, and he had some very fast paced, very high octane matches where you're like, yo, this dude is not real.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
If you wanted me to start it off, I can go ahead and say the better career. And this one is my reasoning is literally just because the length of the career. I'm going to say, though I'm a huge fan of Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest of all time, I'm gonna go Rey Mysterio had the better career. And the reason why is literally just simply because I feel like, because Eddie passed away, when he did, and Rey still has continued on. I feel like if Eddie was able to continue his career, if Eddie, didn't, pass away at, such a younger age, then this will be even a harder debate. But for me personally, I go Rey Mysterio because Rey is still adding to his legacy. Like, think about this. Like, Rey is doing what LeBron is trying to do. Rey was able to wrestle with his son. I don't even know how many wrestlers has been able to do that. Like, have a legendary Hall of Fame career and then now be a part of your son's career and helping with that transition. Rey hasn't even retired yet. They're the first father-son tag team duo that's been able to become tag team champions. And at some point in time, I already know it, we're going to probably get a WrestleMania match between Rey and Dominic Mysterio, father versus son. So it's like, and then the storyline between Eddie and Rey that they were able to develop where Dominic was a part of that storyline, just the story that continues on. I got to give it to Rey. Rey is just, man, he's probably had the, one of the most legendary careers. And then to be able to send off your son as well, like, and be able to wrestle your son, like, that's pretty amazing to me. That's like LeBron trying to play on the same team as Bronny or as Bryce. Like, that's pretty phenomenal. So I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio simply based on because his career is still going on and we got to see the full length of his career, and it's still going on to this very day where now his son is also a part of the WWE.
Okay. I'm gonna lean towards Eddie. On this one, not to be in opposition. It's really more because along the lines I'm still very enamored with his very early work in WCW and how, like, week in and week out, he was putting out good matches with everybody he's been in the ring with. But I will acknowledge that, hey man, Rey has a connection with the fans that's like any other wrestler in wrestling history. And on top of that, I think Rey has had a bigger impact, culturally speaking, than Eddie did. Because as time goes on, there are more lights put on you. The spotlight gets bigger, and I'll keep it a buck. There are a lot of people I've met that they don't know a lot about wrestling, but they do sure know about a Rey Mysterio, and he has that over Eddie.
And I do got to say this. Eddie Guerrero, though, I got to pay my respects. That man is legendary. Hall of Famer. That man taught me how to lie, cheat, and steal. And this dude, just all the classic storylines, all the classic matches. And I remember when Eddie first passed away, I was devastated by that. And that just lets you know how much he was able to make a connection with people throughout the entire world and throughout different communities. Eddie Guerrero being Mexican, this man we see Sasha Banks. That's her favorite wrestler was Eddie Guerrero. That's what made her want to become a wrestler. And then now she's having a Hall of Fame career. So Eddie, much respect to Eddie Guerrero as well. That is for sure top 50 greatest wrestlers of all time in my list. And this is a tough topic overall, but I just go Rey Mysterio because his career is still continuing on. But the fact that what Eddie was able to do in the amount of time that he had is also legendary, and he's a bona fide Hall of Famer already, and deserves it as well. So that's my respects to Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest of all time. But I personally go with Rey Mysterio.
All right.
But let us move on to the last topic. This is just a little topic. I want to get people thoughts on this one as well. And I'm going to start this one off with John. But does blood, when someone gets busted open in a match, does that really make a real wrestling match? Or compared to matches nowadays where you don't see a lot of blood taking place, especially in the WWE, particular with the WWE, but you still see it in other wrestling promotions. But does blood make a match? That's the question.
I say blood enhances a match. It makes it more captivating. but I do not feel like it should be the big thing that could be all that should make a match good. I feel like blood should be only used in very specific rivalries and very specific moments. If a guy is bleeding every week, or if a guy is essentially bleeding in every pay-per-view, it's like, bro, it loses its touch. And I feel like blood should be reserved for rivalries that's taking it over the limit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like it's not necessary to tell a compelling story and to tell a great wrestling match. And I'll take it. I'll take it a step further, right? And I'll even 180 a bit. Let's look at Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, and let's look at Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. I believe both those bouts had zero blood, but you have very good, if not spectacular matches and very good rivalries without a single drop of blood. And I'm talking about the Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels back in 03, I want to say, or 04.
The WrestleMania match?
Yeah, that one.
I would say younger me would say blood makes a match and it enhances it for sure. The younger me would say that. Especially seeing that transition from WWE kind of going to the PG era. I was like, man, I miss seeing these wrestlers having the blood. It made it more intense. The intensity made it more, the blood made it more intense. It made it seem like the rivalries meant more, that they actually was stronger. However, nowadays, because I see a lot of these matches and how a lot of these matches are still 5-star matches, some of the great ones, and they don't have not one drop of blood in the matches in the WWE, that I'm almost looked at it like it's a little different now for me. Like, I almost don't want to see people bleeding in a sense. It's a little weird. So I would say I don't think blood makes a match personally for myself. I think it's the story itself, the story you tell in the ring. And then I kind of look at it personally for myself, even though right now, I'm training for wrestling, but particular, I'm not at the very moment training because I got an ankle injury. For me personally, I'm probably not going to be wanting to be bleeding in my matches. I ain't going to lie. I'm not cutting myself. Like knowing how a lot of them end up bleeding, like them cutting themselves, I'm not with that. Like if something happens and I end up bleeding, okay, that's cool. But if you telling me I gotta cut myself to, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I don't care what y'all talking about. Like, if something went wrong or I accidentally got punched in the face and I'm bleeding or whatever the case may be, I took an elbow, then okay, I'm be like, okay, it's cool. But if you tell me I gotta cut myself to start bleeding, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, sir. No, sir. So I'm gonna just.
Speaking of bleeding, did you ever see Blood and Guts, or the match that followed with Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho?
I haven't seen that one. Nah, we gotta check. I gotta check that one out.
No. That's a hilariosity because it was a really bad match. But the worst part about that match was like, how like when you do a blade job, it's supposed to pan off of you, and you're not supposed to see when you get cut, right?
Yeah.
The cameraman or whoever's directing camera did a terrible job. They panned out and then zoomed in on Jericho to watch him cut himself as he got busted open by Eddie Kingston, because Eddie Kingston had a barbed wire microphone for some reason.
Yes.
And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, hey man, Meech, are you gonna blade yourself like that quick?
I'm not. I'll say this right now. I plan on never doing blade work. Like, I'm not cutting myself. I just can't do it. Like, it's just,
everybody's done it.
I'm not.
Come on, you can't do it now, man.
I'm not doing that. Like,
yes, you do.
Somebody else, they gonna have to be bleeding. They better have to really hit me with a chair or something like that and make me bleed or something the case may be. But I'm not cutting myself. That ain't my job. Like, that ain't something I'm into. Like I maybe need to make it to the WWE because they not doing that over there right now. So,
what about the ref? You let the left cut you open?
Nah. I can't. It's just something about blades for me. Like I can't let nobody cut me with no blade. I can't do it. I can't do it. Like if I'd rather take an elbow or something like that. But if you pulling out a blade to try to cut me, I'm like, you not paying me enough. You ain't about to pay me enough for that.
You gotta take the risk, man.
I would jump off a ladder. I would go through a table. I will go through an elimination chamber pod. I'll go through whatever the case may be. I'll go through I'll go through the ring. I would do some high risk stuff, but I'm not doing no blade work. I ain't doing that. That ain't me. That ain't my job. I'm sorry. So I'll say it can make the match more intense, but it doesn't make the match. The rivalry, the storytelling makes the match. And that's how I feel about it.
Oh, John Moxley, man. He done bled buckets for nothing.
Man, I don't think you need to do it. Like, you ain't got to do that. Like, that's just how I feel. Now, the wrestling world may feel a little different, that you got to pay those dues, but I ain't paying those dues. We going to have a great match. We're going to tell a great story. Forget all that. You ain't about to blade cut me or nothing of that. We ain't going to do that.
Come on, man. If Taker can do it, you can do it, man.
I got nothing but respect for Undertaker, but I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Maybe if I had a match with Undertaker and he was like, let's do this, I'll be like, know what? It's probably I'll have to face somebody legendary like that I respect. Like Stone Cold comes out of retirement. The Rock comes back. Undertaker comes out of retirement. Something like that. Then I'll be like, know what? I may consider it. But if it's just my regular career and I'm just nah, it got to be.
What if it's like a what's it called, a Bret Hart Stone Cold situation where the top guys are like, hey man, you're bleeding. You're gonna get some color, man. Just so we can make this match more visceral.
Nah, I'm not about to.
It'll elevate you, dog.
If Roman came to me and was like, "This is what's happening," I'd be like, "This is what's not happening, Roman. I don't know. You gonna cut yourself? Are we both doing this together? Then if it's a conversation where we both doing this, then I'm like, I'll think about it. I'm not into cutting my face and all that though. That ain't me. That is
Dude,
not
have
me.
you looked at some of these wrestlers' foreheads, man, with the blade jobs? You gotta look if you got time. Like Google New Jack and look at his forehead. Yeah, that's a trip right there. If you want to see bad blade jobs, so yeah.
Let us know in the comment section what you think. What you think about, does blood intensify the match? Is it necessary in the world of wrestling right now? Should the WWE bring it back? Let us know in the comment section, and also let us know what we should talk about next week. Give us some topics, some debate topics, some more better career debates. Let us know, and let us know what you even think about Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, who had the better career. That being said, this is the People's Podcast. You got any last words for the people?
Other than that, man, hey man, don't waste the opportunity, man. You got to take a blade job to go make $1 billion, man, or you got to go out there and go try to make an opportunity for yourself. Go do it.
Man, I'll have to really my adrenaline will have to be really running. Like my adrenaline will have to be really high, and I'll have to be offered a whole lot of money and a whole lot of opportunity. And then I'll consider it. I'll be like, you know what? And it'll have to be with the right person and the right rivalry, and the story will have to make sense. And then I'll be like, you know what? I can do it one time.
For 5 stacks, I'll do a blade job. Shoot. Easiest money I ever made.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of needles. I ain't a huge fan of like blades, like, and cutting yourself. I just ain't never been a huge fan of that. It's kind of made me just like, ugh.
Oh yeah. Nah, man, that's how you know it's getting good.
I gotta start watching more AEW matches because I'm not even used to watching matches where wrestlers is bloody anymore. Like I ain't even used to that.
After the podcast, I'll hook you up. Or I'll hook you up. I'll show you what the tech is to watching AEW.
Yeah. But that being said, this is the People's Podcast presented by the Wrestling Republic. I am Meech. That is John, man. Let us know what we should talk about next week. We're going to continue bringing these podcasts to you. And it's the People's Podcast, and we out.